You guys don't want to be in it?
One option I found.
Oops.
Do you want?
Okay, well, first thing I want to ask, I do a lot of interviews when I see a band or a person live, and I just ask them, like, just like I did to you, it's just like, can I interview afterwards there? And I always forget to ask, like, if it's annoying when people ask, like, if I were to only talk about Beat Happening or something like that, would you be like, dude, let's talk about some, like, Selector to Narcotic or something like that? You know?
Whatever you want to do, man. It's groovy. I'm just glad that you're interested in what we're doing. Thanks for listening.
Thanks. So I guess one thing I was going to ask was, I know I have a lot of bands on your label, but I like to ask what kind of bands, for people that do watch, what kind of bands do you recommend people would listen to? Do you have any bands off the top of your head right now that you're like, oh, these are some of my favorite bands that I've ever heard that other people might not have heard of?
Well, right now we're just putting out a new record by this group called American Nudism.
Okay.
And I'm pretty excited about just great live, but also the record is really cool. So it's something, it's just off the top of my head, that's something I think people might enjoy.
Okay.
I'll
check that out.
It's very groovy.
Rad.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you about Skating Polly, because they recorded whatever that album's called.
Well, we did some recording at Dub Narcotic Studio.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot of fun. That was a couple years ago.
I just saw them and I just interviewed them too, and I asked them about what that was like with you. They said that they haven't talked to you in a while, but that you like shouted them out on Twitter or something like that at some point. I don't know.
Oh, that's
I guess I just wanted to, I don't know, what was that like? Because that was, how old was she at that point?
Well, they were younger than they are now.
That's true.
Definitely. It was like 3 years ago at least.
Yeah?
Yeah, so. But they seem quite accomplished.
Tell me about your recording studio and what the whole deal is.
Well, we don't have it anymore, but it was called Dub Narcotic Studio, and it still exists, but just it's not a commercial studio anymore. At that time, we had, for a few years, we were open up as a commercial studio for anyone to come and rent the studio, and so that's what Skating Polly came and they rented it, and I recorded them. But I started it in the basement of my house.
Cool.
And it's moved a couple times since then. Now it's back to the basement of my house. It's just
really?
It's just for me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did that close out? So nobody's recorded there except for you since?
Yeah, that was a couple years ago. It was 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, and we were in a different building at that time. Now we've moved the whole K office into a beautiful building, but it's very small.
Okay.
So it's just a tiny little office, like smaller than this hallway. But yeah, about this size.
All right. I was wondering if you ever get sick of your own songs. You ever play songs that you're sick of playing because everybody wants to hear them?
I only play the songs that make sense to me to play.
Okay. Cool.
And most of the songs, I don't remember how to play songs that are a couple years old, even a couple years old.
Right.
So I have to, if I'm going to go on tour or something, I have to decide, okay, here's the 50 or 60 songs that I like, and I'm just going to learn these 50 or 60 songs, and then those are the ones I'm going to play.
Okay.
But it's all just sort of random, I just play, out of those 50 or 60, then I just play whatever feels right.
Okay, cool, because I know everybody's different. I know a lot of people get sick of their songs, so they play them anyway.
Oh, yeah, well, I just play the songs that make sense for me to play.
Cool. If somebody comes up to you, this is another thing I ask a lot of people, a lot of bands. If somebody comes up to you and they say that they're like a huge fan and stuff like that, does that ever get on your nerves at all?
No, I'm thrilled that they've even heard of my music or that they've listened to it. There's so much music in the world, and there's so much going on that the fact that anyone even is aware of our music is a miracle.
How do you feel about one time I saw once I first started getting into like Beat Happening, the whole like Olympia scene and all that was going on, I saw some video a while ago that was like stereotypes about Olympia, just on YouTube somewhere, and somebody said something along the lines of like, oh, I'm friends with Calvin, and they were obviously like referencing you. How do you feel about because some people do view you as like the mascot of like Olympia. How do you feel about
Interesting. Mascot is a good word. Yeah.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? You feel like it's a good thing?
There's no such thing as bad publicity.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to ask you. Oh, Okay, this is stuff I should have looked up beforehand, but I heard a while ago when I first started getting into Bratmobile, when they when they got formed, didn't you give them I don't remember what kind of record.
My phone just ran out of storage.
No. Here.
I thought we were recording on that.
This is the audio. Okay, I heard you give him a Ramones album.
Really?
Yeah. Do you remember anything about that? That's what I heard. The internet sometimes is wrong.
Well, I'm not denying it, but I feel as though I'm much too selfish to give up something as precious as a Ramones album.
Alright.
But it's possible.
I heard that they got it from you and then they said, we want to make whatever the opposite of this is. So they went and they made Potty Mouth.
Really?
That's what I heard, yeah.
So are you saying that Potty Mouth is the opposite of the Ramones?
That's not what I heard.
I don't know if I don't know. I mean, you're the rock critic, so you would know better than me. But I'm wondering if the members of Bratmobile would consider their music the opposite of the Ramones.
I don't know.
I doubt it, but they may.
Maybe. Well, tell me
I
about
think
that's
a good question to ask them when you interview
Once
them.
I see them,
when they come here and play, you should ask them about that.
I'm gonna fly to California and see. Well, you know what's going on with Sex Stains though, because that's Allison's most recent thing. But I heard that they were done.
Sex Stains. I don't know.
Okay. Because I was gonna go to California and see them. We were gonna go on a trip, but I heard that they were done. Oh, do you have any particular opinions about Minneapolis?
Opinions?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, did you come here because some bands, because Babes in Toyland are from here,
They are?
Placements
Great.
are from here. Some bands come here, like Skating Polly in particular, because that's one of my favorite bands, obviously. They come here and they're really good friends with Babes in Toyland, and they're always talking about how much they love Minneapolis. Do you have any particular, everybody's always so nice, or everybody's always
Yeah. Well, there was this single from here that I liked a lot. It was by this band called The Overtones.
Okay.
And that was a big influence on me when I was like 19.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. I don't know my questions anymore because they were on.
But yeah, Babes in Toyland are good.
Yeah, I'm a big Babes in Toyland. I saw them one time.
What is the one you always ask?
Oh, there's one I saw in a different interview that I also thought was cool, which is, what's one thing that you know for sure? It could be anything. Some people say crazy stuff. Some people just say it's the dumbest little thing, like that we're sitting in a bookstore.
I know how to tie my shoes.
That's one thing you know for sure.
But I don't know how to tie them. I only know how to tie them one direction.
Oh, you can't do that.
If I try to tie it doing the things I normally do with my left hand with my right and right with my left,
Can you do a
I can't do it.
demonstration?
Okay, so here's the regular way. See? I can do that really easily.
Looks like you've been doing that for a while.
But if I tried to do that the opposite way, I get it really confused. I'm like, this, like that.
Yeah, I
and
know
I'm
what
like,
you're talking about.
and then I'm like,
Then which one does the lead?
so then I have to think, and all the thinking just screws me up. You know, it's better if you don't think.
I guess so.
Because then you're just like, yeah, I can talk while I'm doing it, and it's like no big deal. And I know I can do that,
Right.
and that's one thing I know.
Okay, that's another good answer. Like I said, some people answer shoe tie answers, and some people answer create. Some people say we're energy in the universe, stuff like that. So I think it's a cool question.
Well, I don't know that. I don't know that. But I don't know that I do know it either.
Let's see. Also, what were the two bands? We thought one thing I was going to try out on this interview is I was going to ask you what time is it. I don't want to keep you. I don't know what time it is.
We got plenty of time.
We got time. Okay. Yeah. We're going to ask a couple. We each were going to come up with two bands, just ask you what you thought about the bands, just in general.
Right.
So what were your bands that you had? Or what were yours? I don't remember.
Mine were Ween.
Who?
Ween.
Oh, Ween.
And Mitski.
And who?
Mitski.
I'm not familiar with that. Is that a current band or an old band?
She's kind of popping right now. She's kind of just now.
Like a hit radio kind of pop, or just like a
She's just starting to
underground?
get more recognized.
From here in Minneapolis?
She's
I don't
coming.
think she is.
No, she's coming, dude. She's not from here.
Yeah, she's not from here.
Oh, I thought you said is she coming? She's coming.
I don't know.
She'll be here.
Okay, well, what do you think of Ween? Do you know Ween?
Ween, I feel like I played a show with them once. And I thought they were fine.
All right.
They seemed pleasant.
Okay.
But it was a long time ago. I barely remember it.
Okay.
I remember that I played a show with them, but I don't really remember anything else.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, but I'm sure they're good. I just haven't had a. There's so much music in the world, like we were saying earlier,
Yeah, just you totally
that you can't listen to everything.
Mm-hmm.
So Ween's one of those bands like, oh, I should check them out sometime.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And then
because people like them, I should check it out.
Yeah, I know.
So pretty soon I'll probably get to it. But they're on. You know, you start with the A, and they're way down there at the W's, so it could be a while.
All right. Well, once you do, remember us and Cindy.
Yeah, of course.
Alex, remember?
Absolutely.
Or did you have two bands at all?
I guess just one. What do you think of Rush?
Rush. Well, that's one of those bands that we invented punk rock to get away from.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's why we had to invent punk rock. So bands like Rush and Yes, and you know, all these classic rock bands. You know, your Neil Youngs and your Billy Joels and all those terrible bands. It's just like that's why we had to invent punk rock. So I'm not saying. I know that a lot of people like them, and I know that a lot of people who make music now. See, that's the thing that I find so mind-blowing, is that bands who are theoretically underground will now reference, you know, Rush or Fleetwood Mac just completely as if that was normal and okay. And it's like, no, it's not okay. They're the enemy. But that's just my point of view. I guess my age is showing.
It's an interesting point, unique point of view from Calvin Johnston. Unique person, unique musician, unique music world. Mine. I know you already dig Daniel Johnston because you covered him. So I want to know what you think about Daniel Johnston, because if I had an all-time favorite, it'd be Daniel Johnston.
Well, he's just a natural. What we call a natural. Music just flows out of him, and it's all beautiful.
Have you ever met him?
I have.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What was that like? When was that?
It was cool. Well, we played a show together in Japan a while ago, and I sat down with him and talked to him for a little bit, and it was enjoyable. We used to distribute his tapes way back in the '80s when because there was a fellow named Jeff who put out all the cassettes of Daniel Johnston music.
Have you seen the documentary, The Devil?
I haven't seen it. No. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Also, another thing I heard a long time ago that I read on the internet that I wanted to ask you about was I heard one of the big things about Beat Happening. I heard the story was that you guys decided you wanted to play in Japan, so you guys got plane tickets to Japan. Then I heard that you didn't get any gigs there. Is that the truth?
Well, we played 6 shows there.
Oh, you did? I
we were
heard
there
that
for
you
2
didn't
months.
get any.
Right. Well, whatever. It's all the same.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hi.
Can I?
Yeah, of course. We're just invading your space. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Let's see. You got any bands you want to ask him about?
How do you think about the Moldy Peaches? Because I know Kimmy Dawson's on K Records now.
Well, we
right?
did put out a couple records by her.
Okay.
It's not K anymore, though, is it? It's
Oh, it's
Selector
not?
Demicon. Or what is it?
Well, K is the name of our label.
Yeah, what's
Yeah.
the deal now, though? Didn't it change?
No, we're still
That's
K.
another thing I read on the internet. I heard it was K, and then it was like, oh, recently, though, now it's like, it's
K.
considered Selector some crap. Okay.
Well, I perform under the name Selector Demicon.
Right. Is that what's tonight? Is it Calvin
No,
Johnson?
tonight is just boring old Calvin Johnson.
Right.
just
All right.
just no frills. Just,
Do you have a favorite Beatle?
they're all so lovable. Although I feel like I've been leaning for many years now. I've really been leaning toward Pete Best because I read his. There's a really good book about his mother's club
Yeah.
that she had where the Beatles played a lot, which was in the basement of their house,
Okay.
and it was really inspiring. But ever since I first read about the Beatles when I was a teenager, I first read their authorized biography by Hunter Davies. It's called The Beatles,
Right.
the authorized biography, and it talks a lot about the early years and in Hamburg, and obviously in Liverpool, and Pete Best, of course, plays a huge role in that, and that was really exciting to me. And I always thought it was strange that they kicked him out.
Yeah.
It's never been adequately explained.
Didn't
It
look
never
like a
has
Beatle.
been. It's always been, there was some sort of, he didn't cut his hair or something, but
Yeah.
it's like, is that really the reason? I don't know.
I heard that George Martin convinced him to kick him out or something. That's what I heard. But that's another one of
I
these
feel like
10,000
George
things.
Martin came in pretty late in the game.
Or was it? Who's the? Not George.
Well,
Martin,
the
other
manager
guy.
was Brian Epstein.
Jeff.
Yeah, Brian or Jeff Emmer. I don't know.
Oh, it's their engineer.
Yeah, maybe
But-
Brian Epstein convinced him.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe.
That's what I heard. Another
It's possible.
thing that I heard.
Who knows? We may never know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Trying to remember any other questions that I wrote down. I don't know if I had any good ones.
Oh, I had one. It
Oh,
was,
what was it?
What are like 3 songs that you've been listening to recently?
Oh, yeah.
Just by anybody.
Well, I have been listening to this album by this woman, Katie Von Schlechter, and that record has been played a lot around the house. Also, the do you know Cumulus?
No.
They're from Seattle. It's actually just a one-person band, but she has a new album that just came out this week, and I wanted to get it, but I didn't get a chance to pick it up before I left town. But her previous album we listened to a lot at the house, and so yeah, there's just a lot of music that flows. The new Mirror album also I listened to a lot. Understanding it's called.
Okay.
Been listening to that a lot.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wish I had more questions. We asked a lot.
Yeah.
It's a long one.
Yeah. I don't know. You guys got anything else big? You know. All right. Well, I appreciate it a lot. I've been a big fan
Well,
for a
thank
long
you.
time. One of the first, like you're saying, it's like I used to be like classic rock guy, and then I kind of all of a sudden I came across. I think the first album was like Beat Happening, Beat Happening.
Oh.
And I was like, wow, that's
Cool,
actually pretty
man.
good.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening.
All right. We'll see you at the show.
Great.